let's just do, I'm just going to say the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan Torah. Amen. Blessed are you, Lord God, King of the universe, who gives the Torah of truth and the good news of salvation to his people Israel and to all the peoples who his son Yeshua the Messiah. Amen. Amen. All right. So, chapter 6, we're discussing Gideon. There was this little picture where this angel appears to him and they had a discussion, and we referenced two separate incidences that happened. Not in order, but there was one where someone met with someone that was like God, or angels and God. Abraham, right? And he went out and he gave him some stuff. And we also talked about the offering, and that was sort of like Elijah, right? But I want to unpack this a little bit. Just bear with me. It's something I find very exciting, but that just could be me. What I want you to do is, you guys know what I'm talking about, what I'm talking about. Let me just find the verse for you. Yes, Judges 6. Go to verse 19 for me. 19 in my Bible. Starts with Gideon waiting in. Okay? Gideon went in, cooked a young goat, and made matzot with a bushel of flour. What does your translation say? Ephah of flour. Alright. So he goes in and he gets a goat and an ephah. Okay? Now let's not split hairs about biblical measurements for a second. And go with me to Genesis 18. Everybody there? Verse 1. Adonai appeared to Abraham by the oaks of Mamre. So again, we looked at that word. Okay? The word actually for the potassium tree, like we said, is Elah. Could be represented as an oak, as well sometimes is translated as oak, but not the same in this case. But the oaks of Mamre, as he sat in the entrance to the tent during the heat of the day, he raised his eyes and he looked, and there in front of him stood three men. On seeing them, he ran from the tent door to meet them, prostrated himself on the ground, and he said, My Lord, if I have found favor in your sight, please don't leave your servant. Please let me send for some water so that you can wash your feet and rest under the tree. And I will bring a piece of bread. Okay. So the entrance to come and visit is, if I find favor with you, come in, come rest. And why do you think Abraham did that?
To recognize with what?
Right? We have one aspect. It doesn't say that, but it's pretty likely. But at the same time, we have this Middle Eastern hospitality. Okay? Massive. Any Bedouin group of people that you go to Israel today, they will invite you in. They will talk nicely to you. They will let you sleep at night. They will make up your stuff. They will prepare for you. They will wait on you like a king. Until 3 days are over and then they kick you out. No excuse required. Thank you. You visited. It was awesome. Bye-bye now. That's just a custom. Right? Hospitality is a big thing here. Alright? Remember, opposite to Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah? See, we all get stuck on the thing with the sodomy part, right? Right?
We steal from prison.
Yeah, they would. But, you know, when we discuss that, and just in case you missed it, or let me refresh your mind, who was staying in Sodom? Lot. Why wasn't God sodomized? Or did he like it and we don't know about it?
He was rich.
Very tongue cheek, right? He was wealthy, so he wasn't sodomized because he brought money. Right? So there was this whole thing. why then do we accept money and we don't hurt the people that we feel can contribute, but then we see 3 men pitch up or 2 men pitch up and they walk through the gate and they say, no, I'm going to sleep in the city square. Why are you sleeping in the city square? Because you don't have money. Why did they come looking for those 2 guys? When Lot threw out his daughter, he said, no, take my daughters. Did any of you find it really weird that a guy would sacrifice his daughters?
Because he knew they were safe.
Yeah, he knew they would touch it. Why? Because I've got money. It had nothing to do with lust or sexual sin. It had everything to do with making a statement about what we allow into our community and what we don't. You will not come in and be a burden. Understand, you will take that message far and wide, and if you don't have money, you won't go to Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay? This is a massive contrast. Lot still picks up from this sort of way of thinking, and he goes, "Don't sleep in this way, come stay by me." But he was sitting at the city gate. There you see Abraham sitting at the entrance of the tent, and he comes in, and he might have recognized it, but there is also this hospitality that comes with it. He wants to bring them in. He wants to look after them. It's very possible he could have recognized who this was at the same time. Okay? So he tells him, "I'm going to give you a little bit of bread, and you're going to wash your feet and you relax before you move on." But listen to what he actually does. Abraham hurried to the tent of Sarah. It says, "Quickly, 3 measures of your best flour." Now, any other translations there? Okay, how many measures? Just 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay, 3 sayas is what it says. Okay? Kneaded and making it a cake dish, Abraham ran to the herd, took a good tender calf and gave it to the servant who hurried to prepare it. Then he took curds, milk, and the calf that he had prepared and set it before the men, and he stood by them under the tree as they ate. Okay, now hang on a second. I promised you a little bit of bread and a foot wash. Now all of a sudden I'm killing the fattened calf. He takes this thing to the next level. Now if you look at them, how many bread rolls do you think you're going to get for 3 sayas worth of bread? You could probably feed. How many servants did Abraham have? Just over 300 male servants. Alright? From the amount of flour they put together, they could have fed the entire camp. So just go to the shops and go get me 150 loaves of bread. Don't worry, we'll prepare you just a morsel. A couple of kilograms, about what? Let's say 50 or 40 kilograms of fillet steak. And then we're just going to quickly put this on the fire while we get the good cheese out and the milk while you're resting under a tree. And we will put this out for 3 guys. Anybody think that's a little bit over the top? A banquet for 40. People extending this, but also a possibility that the whole entire camp ate together. Right? But this is interesting because we see this little episode sort of get played out. I want you to go to Matthew 13, verse 33. Yeah. Matthew 13. So, as usual, we find Yeshua talking about his favorite topic, the kingdom of heaven. And he goes in and he says, "And he told them yet another parable. The kingdom of heaven, alright, is like yeast that a woman took and mixed it in a bushel of flour." What do you have there? 3 measures. Right. Then waited until the whole batch of dough rose. Now in some translations you will have that bushel as an ephah again. So he compares the 3 sayas of fine flour, and he goes, the kingdom of heaven is like a woman who ran off to do this quickly. He's reminding them about the hospitality that Abraham and Sarah shared when Emmanuel, God, came to visit them in a tent, a sukkah, a tabernacle. Right? The kingdom of heaven is like someone who ran out to bring them in. To sit down and break bread and celebrate a feast. Now when you go look at Judges 6, and he goes out and he says, I'm just going to go and get. He does the same thing. Gideon doesn't just get enough, he gets an ephah full. 3 sayers is an ephah. And we see the same sort of cycle. Just like Abraham came out and he laid it out before the angels and God. Or if you want to, you could say Yeshua, Elohim, and maybe the Ruach in the flesh. I don't know how it works, but it might be possible too. And you get there to this place where Gideon meets with an angel of God, which could be Yeshua, Emmanuel, sitting over there, meeting with him, reaffirming a calling. Now, why don't I just take you through all of that to tell you to link up the kingdom of heaven, Abram's hospitality, and meet you in the middle with a guy called Gideon who was too scared to sift his wheat on a threshing floor. He was doing it in a wine press. To remind you of 2 things. Number 1, you're in this land because of Abraham. You have the covenant promise, you're the covenant people. Number 2, whose land is it? God's land. They are tenants there. So if the king is sitting in the land, is that not his kingdom? Gideon, stop acting like you're living in someone else's territory. Understand who you are and who's the king in the midst of you, and he's coming to commission you, to build you, to go and establish and take that kingdom. Establish his borders. Establish the correct worship. Take it, just like Joshua had to. But before Joshua even got there, Abraham had to walk it. And when Abraham walked it, he was laying claim already, so that when the king came, Yeshua, and he stood there in the midst of his people. Remember, they wanted a king. The king was there. They just wanted the king to do earthly kingly duties, not kingdom of heaven duties. The expectation was slightly different, but the kingdom was still established. Gideon is going to make a sort of forerunner as a sacrifice to be able to gather in his people. Remember what Gideon meant when we broke it down in the patio? To gather to the way so that they could see the nail or attached to the seed of life. And you see it being gathered in like Abraham. You're seeing it attached to Yeshua with the kingdom. And you're bringing them into the knowledge of life. You with me?
Uh-huh.
When it goes quiet, I'm like, okay. So on that little side note, we can carry on with our normal week's things. It gets easier from there, guys. Alright, go to Judges chapter 17. Okay. Verse 1. Then Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, and all the people with him got up early and set up like Ein Hevod. What's Ein Hevod? What's an Ein? Spring. And camped at the camp of Gideon was north of them by Givat Moreh in the valley. Adonai said to Gideon, there are too many people with you for me to hand Gideon over to them, because I don't want Israel to be able to boast against me. We saved ourselves from our own strength. Therefore proclaim to the people, anyone who is anxious or afraid should go home, while we stay here at Mount Gilad. 22,000 returned, but 10,000 remained. Right. Is this something completely crazy in your eyes? Okay? What would be the problem? Here it is. You're growing up, and we're going to find out later that some people say that the numbers are exaggerated. But if we take it at a literal stance, we're looking at 120,000 people that we're growing up against, and all we have is, yeah, we have 32,000. 22,000 leave. But we're still fighting 120,000 people. This is the reason why they were anxious. Is this a new thing? No, it actually says in Torah, funny enough, I sat there and I went and I said, that sounds very familiar, let me use my brain cells a bit. And if you go into the parasha, the portion called Shoftim, Judges, in the portion called Judges, it is Deuteronomy. The portion is Deuteronomy 16 verse 18 to Deuteronomy 21 verse 9. You will see there will be a whole point of listing judges and going on in accordance, but around chapter 20, 21, you'll see there will be a list of reasons for people to have military exemption. Right. Part of that military exemption is if you're too anxious or you're too scared, leave. Lest you cause everyone else to run away when you run away. But you didn't really want to be there anyway.
So what I got is a selfie down.
Right? So he does something that Torah dictates, electing this guy as the judge, lifting him up in the portion of judges and saying, look guys, if you don't want to fight, don't fight, leave. Yeah, around 20 verse 4. Okay, in Deuteronomy. Okay? So he's got 10,000 left. Adonai said to Gideon, there are still too many people. At this point, how many of you would be negotiating like Abraham? Right? It says, have them come down to the water and there I will screen it for you. If I say of this one is for you, he will go with you. And if I say this one is not for you, he won't go with you. So he brought them down to the water, and Adonai said to Gideon, put to one side everyone who laps water with his tongue, the way a dog does, and put to the other side who gets down on his knees to drink. So people that go all the way down and then slurp the water, and others who lift up to put it to the mouth. What's that about? What do you think? Yeah, vigilance. Okay, so the guys that are busy looking around, taking in what's going on around them. Josephus had a slightly different comment though, but I don't know how he knew. He was from a slightly different period. But for them it was about cowards. Okay? So Josephus says, no, those who drink like that are cowards. Don't ask me to explain it, I don't understand it. And if you can get Josephus too, we've got a problem. Maybe. Drink quickly, get out of there. I don't know what it was. For me, it's about vigilance. They're watching to see what's going on. And he sifts this army again. 300 lapped with their hand to their mouth. All the rest of the men got down to their knees to drink water. Dum dum dum. How many are we fighting? 120,000. Right? And we have 300. Yeah. This is not Sparta. Adonai said to Gideon, I will use 300 men who left the water to save you. I will hand Midian over to you. Let all these others go back home. So they took the provisions and their shofars of all the people, then they sent them off. All the men of the Nishon away. Each to his tent, but there were 300 men he kept. The camp of Midian was in the valley below him. That night, Adonai said to him, get up and attack the camp, because I handed it over to you. But if you are afraid to attack, go down with your servant Purah. Who was Purah? Probably. Literally means young man or young boy. Right? Okay? And after you hear what they're saying, you will have the courage to attack the camp. Now you see, God understands Gideon. He was afraid to throw the wheat up in the air, so he did a white press. He was afraid to take down the Baal altar, so he did it at night. He was afraid to make sure that it was 100% in accordance with God's will, even though he met with an angel. thought he was going to die there too, so he was also afraid. Then he put out his fleece to check whether or not he should do this, because he was afraid he would get it wrong. And now he goes, if you're still afraid, it's okay, go and check. Alright? How many of you have had those moments with God? You sit down and you're like, I need another confirmation, and he allows you to take 5 steps, and you go, hi, it's me again, I just want to make sure, another 5 steps. Hi, it's me again. And eventually, what I love about that portion is that God literally meets him at his need, and he says, it's okay. Go. I don't need you to be fearful when you've told how many people to leave if they're anxious. I want you to be convicted. I want you to stand up and I want you to leave. You can't leave if you don't have it settled in. So he allows this concession again for Gideon to go down and to do this.
Did you check the name of
Jeroboam. It was contest with Baal.
Yeah, contend with the Baal.
Yeah. So with his servant, Purah went down to the outpost of the camp. Now Midian, Amalek, and all the others from the east had settled in the valley as big as locusts. Their camels too. Locusts, good thing and a bad thing in the Middle Eastern custom? No idea? Generally a bad thing. Why? Yeah, they eat the stuff that others supposed to eat, so it's not a good thing. They were counting like sand of the seashore. Uh-oh. Why is that something that I should be concerned about? No, because the Israelites were supposed to be numbered like sands in the seashore. Remember, that was the covenant promise of Abraham. He's been reminding about Abraham the entire time. And he says, you and your people should be like sand in the seashore. Except you guys are the one hiding and these guys have taken over. But I don't see them as people, I see them as locusts. They've come here to destroy. Understand who you are. And he takes a small group of people, and again we've got this sort of counterfeit battle on. They're going to lay claim to the land, but they have no title to the land because the king has not given it to them. Gideon got there just as the man was telling his comment about a dream he had. I just now dreamt that a loaf of barley bread fell into the camp of Midian, came to the tent and struck it so hard that it overturned the tent and knocked it back. His comrade answered, this can only be the sword of Gideon, the son of Joash, the man of Israel. God has given Midian and all of his army into his hands. Now, I don't know about you, I read that a few times. I don't understand how a barley loaf knocking over a tent tells me it's Gideon. I have no clue how that brother got to that understanding. What I do understand is not every word is there for no reason. If it is a barley piece of bread, what is he telling you about? Pesach. What happened at Pesach? A small group of people that were enslaved by someone so much bigger met with their God, and they walked out there like a conquering army while the people that were more could be. That is the time of unleavened bread. We left in a hurry. Abraham prepared a meal in a hurry. Gideon put it in a hurry. Even though there was a little bit of yeast in this scenario, they still tried to get this thing to rise in the amount of time that they had it. But Israel left over Pesach because they never had time to let it rise. They had to get rid of that ferment. They had to take a step out. And if we wanted to take a step further, we compare it to, again, the very word or the bread of life himself. He is the one who gave up his body, sinless, commence-free offering that was given to the people. Right? Yeah.
Check the 300.
300.
It's a sheep.
The sheep.
And also victory.
Okay. Alright, we can show you nice. The number 300, you can take a look at. There's a couple of ways you can look at this. Is that it is the number for the Levashim? Remember Jorah? No. You get to draw pictures too. Yeah. I do this to terrorize him because he loves doing it. Have you done it the other way, but yeah? Yeah, just the other way. Back of me. Yeah. Right. Shin. Okay? And that is the letter for Shaddai. Funny enough, that's one of God's titles. So you could also look at that. Or if you wanted to, you could break it up. You could go 3 times 100. We'll give you that. And this is the way gematria works. You guys know about gematria? Okay, some of you, gematria is numbers mean stuff. Okay? So when you look at the number 3, generally throughout Scripture, we look at it every time 3 is mentioned, we come up with a theme. Okay? It's not foolproof, but it gives you a nice idea. So don't ever think that this is 100%. Okay? So 3. Alright, let me tell you Russian. 1. What does 1 normally represent? Echad, which means oneness, not just one, right? 2. Shema. I will hear and obey. 3. Yeah, the triune. Understand the triune. Okay? Talks about Elohim. Elohim itself is a title of God that God uses. Doesn't denote 1 or 2, but normally 3. Okay? 4 normally is followed with the 4 letters of God's name. Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. Okay? 5 Torah. Okay? And so we go on. 6 is the number of man. So if you're going to look at 300, you could break it up and you could say 3, as in the triune of God. Looking at 100, which is 10 tens, right? What does 10 represent?
A cycle of completion.
Completion is 7. 10 words. We get the example of covenant in that space. Alright, some people say it means judgment. The reason they do that because there was 10 plagues. The reason the 10 plagues was there because of the covenant. Okay, so covenant came before judgment. Alright? So he was bringing them out. So if you want to look at it or if you want to break it up just for fun, you could say that God is going to bring in again covenant. And we kind of see it wrapping around Abraham every time he does something. Okay. So he's going to establish something. So when Gideon heard the dream and its interpretation, he fell on his knees and he worshipped. Then he returned to camp of Israel and said, "Get up, because Adonai has handed Midian's army over to you." Now this is what I also find funny. God can use whomever he wants, however he wants. If you wanted an interpretation today of a dream, would you expect someone in a pagan religion to come up to you and say, "This is what God said"? Generally not, right? Because you get told you don't trust anything that comes out of anybody else's mouth. But it's amazing to me that say now that some people in that are busy in Islam are having dreams about Yeshua. And they're dreaming about this Messiah. And they're dreaming about these things. We have to know, and according to Torah, we have to test those things. Does it fit with the word, yes or no? Is it in alignment with what God said, yes or no? But he can use whomever he wants, however he wants. Okay? Don't get stuck in putting God in a box that he only has to operate in a way you understand he operates. Because if that was the case, how many of us really understand how everything works outside? You understand exactly how the root system works to get photosynthesis and all the chemicals and the moisture and everything that gets released and all the rest of it. And most of you falling asleep at the sound of this because it sounds like a bother to me. You're like, I really don't care, I think it's great that it does this, and it's really awesome. And then, but we don't, because you wouldn't be concerned about that, right? We don't care how the atoms and neutrons and molecules and all those things are combined. We understand H2O and in water. I understand water because I'm thirsty. I don't care about the chemicals and molecules or how it goes together. I understand clean water, for instance, not thirsty. Right? God knows what He needs to do, how He needs to do it before you do. So don't stick Him in the box. It's a simple point. Alright? He divided the 300 men into 3 companies. Awesome, right? So we're taking away, and a little bit we've got left instead of a full front of the soul. He says, no, we're going to have 3 companies of 100. He put in the hands of all the men, all of them, shofars and empty pitchers with torches in them. Okay, again, we're getting weird. Then he said to them, watch me and do what I do. When I get to the edge of the camp, whatever I do, you do the same. When I and everyone with me blow the shofar, you blow your shofars all around the whole camp and shout for Adonai and for Gideon. Alright, I'm going to try this again. When I taught this many moons ago, I asked a very odd question. How many hands do you have? 2. A lot of you are looking at me like there's people that did. Since I've got an answer, there must be something that can't be that simple. You've only got 2 hands. You're carrying a clay pot over a torch and you're carrying a shofar. But you're going to war. Who's holding a shield and who's holding a sword? Yeah, no one. Like, you got this, right? Are you sure? Not one of these guys are carrying weaponry in hand into battle.
Gideon's at the arms bearer, scratching his head, thinking, what's happening?
What's the point of me? Said, the guy who's normally panicking is not panicked. Something must be happening. Eh? Yeah. Yeah, right. Like David, right? Says, we come to me with, he challenges Goliath and he says, he comes to me with the name of the Lord. Says, then every man stood still in place and around the camp, and the whole camp was thrown into panic. Oh, wait, sorry. Did I miss that? I did. Sorry, verse 19. Gideon and his 100 men with him arrived at the edge of the camp a little before midnight, just after they had changed guard. They blew the shofars and broke into pieces the pitchers which were in their hands. All 3 companies blew the shofars, broke the pitchers, and held the torches in their hands, keeping the right hands free for the shofars. They were blowing and they shouted, the sword for Adonai. Alright, what's so important about a shofar? A call to war. Is it? Where do we get the pitch? Yeah, you announce, but sometimes it's come to the tent, sometimes it's people are visiting from the east, sometimes it's battle formation, sometimes it's guys pack up, we're leaving. Alright? A shofar or a trumpet can mean many different things. But they got it from one place. The shofar comes from one incident in Scripture. No, we got it before Jericho.
Amen.
It was Abraham and Yitzhak. Right? Remember that when they went up to Mount Moriah, there was a ram who was stuck with his head in a thicket. Alright? This becomes the symbol. A ram's horn becomes the symbol of what God is going to establish. And as God is going to establish what was the point of that? Many different points. He was going to establish peace. He was going to establish the sacrifice. He was going to establish Abraham and his seed, which later turned into the seed Yeshua, the seed of life. And something had to die to give life. And we see all of these things playing out. So when we go to shofar again, I want you to immediately think of God made a promise to Abraham that him and his seed, specifically Isaac, Yitzhak, would have the inheritance. They're standing in the land because Abraham. Again, you see how they keep on reminding him of where they come from and what they should be establishing. Then, as every man stood still in the place around the camp, the whole camp was thrown into panic. With everyone screaming and trying to escape, Gideon's men blew their 300 shofars, and Adonai caused everyone in the camp to attack his comrades. And the enemy fled beyond Beit Shita near Terah, as far as the border of Abel Mecholah Betabat. Basically, They started off here and then they ran south. Okay, there's going to be a little piece where they split. Some guys are going to try and jump ship across the Jordan River. Other guys get caught over here. Okay? So as they move, notice, God throws them into panic. Is this something new? No. He did it before Joshua and them as well.
There's a lot of smoke and mirrors, because it would have been at the change of the guard, so the guys weren't quite sure what was happening up there. They wouldn't be able to see actually up there, so their eyes wouldn't have been adjusted. And one shofar would have represented X number of men. So there's like 300 shofars going there, they're thinking like there's this monstrous army going on.
Yeah.
And they're thinking panic, and then somebody panics, somebody else, and it's like a free-for-all.
You've got a split army. You've got Midianites and
Yeah.
Amalekites, right?
It's actually attacking you, no?
Yeah, so they knew there was a battle, but you don't know your guys really. And remember, you're surrounded by torches. You're looking at torches all around you, so you don't know if they've infiltrated your camp yet, or if it's just the oak that was sleeping near you not too long ago.
You don't know instead.
Yeah, which happened, and then if you run away, yeah, if you don't get stabbed, right. Okay? Then men of Israel were summoned from Naphtali, Asher, both regions of Manasseh, and they pursued Midian. Gideon sent messages through all the hills of Ephraim with this message: come down and attack Midian and capture the rivers before they get there, as far as Bet Barah and also the Yarden. So all the men of Ephraim came together and seized the rivers as far as Bet Barah and the Yarden, and they captured the two chiefs. Any other translation there? Princes. This is more likely their generals. Chiefs of the armies, the guys that were leading this stuff. Oreb and Zeev. They put Oreb to death at the rock of Oreb and Zeev's winepress. Doesn't take much to figure out that one died at a rock, the other one at a winepress. Okay? Then as they kept pursuing Midian, they brought the heads of Oreb and Zeev to Gideon, who had crossed as far as the Yarden.
He was killed by the wine place. Where was Gideon out?
Yes, full circle. Yeah, nice thing. So Gideon started at a wine press, too scared to lead an army, and then he conquers a general that had enough chutzpah to come against God at a wine press. And then he also met God at a rock. Okay? Alright, for those who are interested, Beit Shita is the house of Acacia, Tzerah means bound, Abel Mikolah means the meadow of dancing, Tabat means to celebrate the goodness. So acacia being a representation of people. Why is acacia a representation of people?
Spiky.
Yeah, we're spiky, we're slow growing, and you're very hard. Funny enough, that's exactly what God used in the tabernacle. It says, by yourselves, you grow in the desert, and you don't like lots of other things and other people. But I'm going to change you and make you into something more. I'm going to overlay you with silver. I'm going to overlay you with gold. That means I'm going to cover you in redemption. I'm going to cover you in righteousness. And He's going to make you more than what you thought. They ran in a place called the house of Acacia. Okay? They were bound, the meadow of dancing, probably from the victory. Funny enough, Nechoch is Elisha's birthplace. Came down to Tabat, where they celebrated. Why? Because they fought the two leaders in the army. Oreb means raven. Zeev means wolf. Okay? Kind of gives you an establishment or an idea of what they were doing. Yeah. All right, any questions up until that point? Yes, very quiet there. All right, chapter 8. All right, yeah, let it continue with the All right, chapter 8, verse 1. We all happy? But the men of Ephraim complained to Gideon, why didn't you call us when you went out to fight Midian? Why you treat us this way? God sifted them when they were called up. They probably didn't come down. But Gideon, being very clever, comes with a response. So they were sharp in their criticism. He answered by saying to them, how can what I have done be compared with what you have done? Aren't the grapes of Ephraim's leaves on the vines better than the ones of Abiel's harvest? What is your translation say then?
The gleaning.
The gleanings. Right. The gleanings of the harvest. So he's saying even the ones you left at the end, even your gleanings are better than ours. What does Ephraim mean? Double fruitful. Right. Okay? So, again, he's using something that they would understand, and he says, look, you've captured double fruitful, Zehab and oil. All I did was chase them. I couldn't stop them, but you did. Now let's stop this mingling and moaning about stuff, and let's go and attack the real problem. The kings of Midian are still on the other side. Okay? God handed over the Midian's chiefs to Uriah and Zehab. What could I do that would match what you did? By saying that, he appeased their anger at them. By now Gideon and his 300 men had come to the Yarden and crossed over. They were exhausted, but they were pursuing the enemy. In Sukkot, what does Sukkot mean? Tabernacle or camp. He asked the people there, please give us loaves of bread to the men following me because they are exhausted, and I'm pursuing Zephach and Salmunah, the kings of Midian. But the chiefs of Sukkot said, you haven't captured Zephach and Salmunah yet, so why should we give bread to your army? Why would they say that? It sounds kind of silly. If you haven't captured the kings yet, why should I share my bread? Right, we're keeping it in case for famine. So what am I indirectly saying to Gideon? I don't think you're going to be able to do it. So I'd rather look after my stockload instead of giving you, noting that the fact that they just came and they slapped off the army away. You haven't captured them yet, I'm not going to give you any bread. Gideon said, if that's your answer, then after Adonai has put Zephach and Salmunah in my hands, I will tear your flesh apart with desert thorns and thistles. Lovely guy. Okay, so he's going to put the acacia part of him into full practice. From there he went up to Penuel. What does Penuel mean? Yeah, the face of God. Wait a minute. Saint Penuel, there was a guy who wrestled with someone there. Yaakov wrestled with? Let's hear the answers. Alright? He actually gets referred to as Elohim in the text, but we don't see that because of the translation. It says an angel, but actually it says, I have wrestled with the divine. Penuel. El is a shortened version of Elohim. Elohim is a title for God. Elohim also will give you the connotation that it is Father, Son, and Ruach. So this very well could be Yeshua, or it could be the Father. Most likely someone like Yeshua, because he was the one who took in flesh. But again, pointing back to Abraham, when God came to tabernacle or visit him in his tent and he saw the face of the divine. Yeah, no. It's sort of the hiddenness, because the English doesn't give it the nice thing, but what he calls the place is definitely a big thing for me. You know, I didn't say the face of the divine as in just a celestial, the face of the divine is in Penuel, God himself. So there was a place where he wrestled and he held on and he got a hip problem, but he walked out there with a blessing, but a lump came with it. Alright, so he held on to the point where he was called Yaakov, and then he would be called Israel. That's where he got his name changed. Okay, you will be called Israel because you wrestle with the divine, you wrestle with God. And what's happening here? The people at Penuel, listen to the story. He went up to the people of Penuel and made the same request, and the people of Penuel gave the same answer as those of Sukkot. I doubt you can. But if God has anointed him to do it, are you wrestling with Gideon or are you actually coming up against God himself? So he answered the people of Penuel, "Suddenly I will return safe and sound and break down this tower." So these guys, they had fortifications. And he said, "I'm going to take away your trust. You're trusting in that fortification, you need to be trusting in God." And he's anointed judge. Now Zephach and Salmunah were cut short with an army of about 15,000 men. All that remained of the entire army from the east, since 120,000 arms-bearing soldiers had fallen. So 120,000 have fallen, 15,000 left. That pushes our number up to 135,000 people. How many did we have to start off with? 300. 300 was the starting point of the battle, not all the other guys that were sent out. God went up, Gideon went up using the route of the nomads east of Novach and Yogbeha and struck down the army when they thought they were safe. Zephach and Salmunah fled, but Gideon pursued them. Thus he captured the two kings of Midian, Zephach and Salmunah, and routed their whole army in panic. When Gideon the son of Joash returned from the battle by way of Heres Pass, he captured a young man from Sukkot and asked him about the chiefs and leaders of Sukkot. He wrote down the names of the 77 of them. Small town, big town. Probably fairly big if you need 77 leaders. Alright, what does the number 7 represent? Completion or God's divine plan. And why do we have 17? Because that's how you're going to break it up, 70 and 7. 70 is the 70 righteous people that are supposed to judge. You're in the book of Judges, dealing with portions of Judges, dealing with judges who don't believe other judges. Are you believing who God has anointed? Don't just stand there by yourself. You need to be working together. There's a problem with the book of Judges is everybody does according to what they see fit. There is no king in the land, so everybody does according to what they see fit. They don't acknowledge anybody else, so we isolate ourselves and we become our own little identity. We were never made to be a mountain, we were made to work as a body. If I take out your liver and go put it on the trampoline and I say, okay, you can function just fine, I think you realize you're going to have a problem. The body in itself cannot sit by itself thinking it's going to be functioning right. Because if you don't have blood, you don't have the stuff that you're supposed to have, you're going to be very dead. And the body's not going to function. We get stuck into this little debacle where we're so focused on our own little walk and our own little thing, and what we do, especially in Western society, is particularly bad. Your level of concern is whatever is put in front of you. Your house, your yard, your desk, your office, your car. And you set for yourself boundaries. This country is specifically bad because anything that happens out of that realm is not my problem. It's something that is severely lacking, and I think a lot of people get attracted to it when they go visit other nations and they realize there's a sense of patriotism. There's a sense of belonging. To the point where a lot of people go to Australia and they're like, wow, that was loud. Because they're extremely patriotic. Americans. A lot of people call them arrogant. Why? Because they're American. What do South Africans do? Hide. We need to get into this realm of understanding that family needs to work together. Every person in this room is accountable for another person. How many different homes does that mean we're accountable for? I'm not responsible for individuals, I'm responsible for families. Your house What happens in your house, although I do not like to step my boundaries, happens in my house. So as we learn to grow, you nervous? Yeah. As we learn to grow together, we learn to trust one another, we learn to let go and lower the walls a little bit to be able to realize that if we work together, we have all different sets of giftings for the better of everybody here. Not everybody enjoys growth. It's painful. Everybody wants a beach-ready body, but no one wants to lift weights. Everybody wants a beach-ready body, but you don't want to start a diet. There are certain things that are good for you and certain things that are not. Isolating yourself, taking a piece of the body and isolating it will only bring death. Okay. Then he came to the people of Sukkot and said, you insulted me when you said that you haven't captured Zebach and Salmonah yet. So why should we give bread to your exhausted men? Well, here are Zebach and Salmonah. And he took the leaders of the city and desert thorns and thistles and used them to teach the people of Sukkot a lesson. God is standing in your midst. You will either walk with me or you won't. Briars and thorns are the least of your problems when you talk about eternity. He also broke down the tower of Penuel and put the men of the city to death, probably because they were standing in the tower. Then he said to Zebach and Salmonah, tell me about the men you killed at Tabor. They answered, they look like you, like king's sons. Gideon replied, they were my brothers, my mother's sons. As surely as Adonai is alive, I swear that if you had spared them, I would not kill you. Then he ordered his oldest son, Yeter, get up and kill them. But the boy didn't draw his sword, being still a boy. He was afraid, like father, like son. Then Zebach and Salmonah said, you do it. You kill us. Let a grown man do what it takes let grown men do what takes a grown man's strength. So Gideon got up and killed Zebach and Salmonah. Then he took the ornamental presents from around the camel's necks. Why did they ask Gideon to kill them all? Yeah, fasting. Right? Can you imagine? Okay, I know it's not a nice thought, but let's make it family oriented, shall we? You give your 5-year-old a little hammer and a really big nail that is going to knock to the piece of wood. And you have your big hammer standing by. How long is it going to take for the baby? Right? So a person who doesn't know how to wield a sword properly, use it, don't use it. Okay? He takes the crescents from around the camel's necks. Now this could be either a thing of identification, or it could be a thing of witchcraft. Okay? You see some funny things that come out of this section. Listen. The men of Israel said to Gideon, rule over us, you, your son, and your grandson, because you have saved us from the power of Midian. Gideon replied, neither I nor my son will rule over you. Adonai will rule over you. So he points it back to what the plan should be. Then he added, but I have this request to make of you. Each of you give me the earrings from your ruby that you have taken. From the enemy soldiers had worn gold earrings, like all other tribes descended from Ishmael. And they replied, we're glad to give them to you. They spread out a robe, each man threw in earrings from his booty. The gold earrings he requested weighed more than 42 pounds. And this doesn't include the crescents, pendants, purple cloth worn by the kings of Midian, and the chains around the camels' necks. Out of these who made a ritual destiny located in the city. Any other translation name that list of things that they got? Some of those get described when you look at them as amulets instead of necklaces. Okay? So it's possible that they believe they could be protected and they had their own forms of witchcraft and all the rest of it. The funny thing about this is actually family. Distant family, but it's family. Right? That actually is descendants of Keturah and also Ishmael. So now we're sitting over here and we're coming up against it, and again, the idea is that we're so completely split that we don't know who God is. Could it be the fact that they were just using purple robes to identify themselves as kings, wealthy, or again, possibly like in Jericho, those robes were normally kept for things of divination? That's possible on either front. Okay? So, keep it in the back of your mind. So again, he says, okay, we want everything, now give me your earrings, I'm going to make something. Sound like a good idea? No, generally not, because the last time we said that, a golden calf just jumped out. We don't know how. The area just said, I threw them in there it was. Turned into a ball. It wasn't me, promise. This is how Midian was defeated by Israel, so that they ceased to be a threat. The land had rest 40 years during the lifetime of Gideon. Again, 40 being a number of testing. Jeroboam, the son of Joash, returned to his family estate. Gideon became the father of 70 sons because he had many wives. Okay? So it's supposed to be a Sanhedrin, but yeah. He also had a concubine in Shechem. Shechem should remind you of Jacob's sons, but also they also made a covenant via Shechem. Alright? Covenant and covenant. One got been killed, one got been saved. And he too bore him a son whom he called Abimelech. What does Abimelech mean? My father is king. Okay, remember that is and the and the thing in Hebrew don't exist, so you have to kind of add them in to make sense of the word. Literally, Abi, my father, Melech is king, so my father king. Alright? Gideon, the son of Joash, died at the ripe old age and was buried in the tomb of his father Joash in Ophrah of the Abi-Ezri. Abi-Ezri again? My father is help. Right. So God was helping Gideon the entirety of his life to establish what he needed to establish. But as soon as Gideon was dead, the people of Israel again went astray after the Baalim and that they made at Baal Brit, their god. Baal Brit. If you go for a circumcision, they call it a Brit Milah or a Bris, if you hang around saying. Brit Chadasha. Brit is a covenant. Right? You cut a covenant. Right? So, new covenant. So, Baal Brit. Baal means husband or Lord. But the problem with this, Baal is he's not talking about God. He's talking about the gods of the Canaanites. And they're saying here, they went astray and they served the Baalim and they worshipped and they made Baal Brit their God. They made a covenant with Baal to be their God. Is literally what it says. They forgot Adonai their God, who had saved them from the power of the enemies on every side, and they showed no kindness toward the family of Jeroboam, that is Gideon, to repay them for all the good he had done for Israel. We find out that, can any of you remember a little bit what the earrings were for? He made an ephod, he made a ritual for death. Now, well, no, the word is for a vest, but like the breastplate, but slightly different. Okay, from what we understand, Gideon was not trying to cause problems, but it was to be a reminder, okay, that this was the protection and the victory of what God did over, and he put it up in his town, we'll read later, and he would establish it. And he would say, remember what God does, Adonai is your king. And what happened? They end up thinking that this thing is the reason Gideon was able to do what he does, and this has the power.
And that's why they fought over it. When
Yeah.
you become a servant.
It comes to the yes. So now we think that this has the authority, and so we go on again, worshipping other things in other ways, and Judges kicks us back into that cycle of we get to peace, we're all happy, and we forget a little bit, and we creep back into sin, and sin is going to bring us into consequence, and so we
Created
get
that in the first place.
right?
You shouldn't have created that in the first place. You were creating it.
No, we shouldn't. But again, something that is a reminder to you. Let's say now, for instance, this is a silly example. You have a talent, every time you climb underneath the talent, God answers you because your relationship with Him. 20 years down the line, your great grandchildren are busy fighting over it because when I put on the talent, I can communicate with God. And the talent becomes the problem, and it was never the problem. It was supposed to be a similar relationship of what Daddy's doing. Daddy's praying, leave me alone. The reason Daddy's under the talent is because you drive me crazy and I need some time.
But
No.
mentally, what steps you keep from the jaws of entity.
Yeah.
Same thing's happening with the cross.
If it becomes a thing of worship, yes. If it is a reminder of what Yeshua did, no. But again, it now becomes a people thing. Guys, we need to make sure it is not about, and let's just go back a second. For some reason, we have lots of time today. It's amazing. When we look at the pictures of what Gideon used and what he was trying to identify, Gideon was about establishing God and what God was going to do through him. We read over and over again, and if you truly knew Gideon, you knew he was too scared to do anything else, right? Right. But now we find him overcoming fear, standing up for God, acting like a judge, taking control, and God bringing peace and prosperity to the land. What were the two things they carried into battle? Should I say three things? We spoke about one.
Picture,
There's a picture, a torch, and a shofar. Alright, why the other two? Now I want to play games because Yeshua talks about those two images actually as well. Don't hide your lamp. Alright? But he takes a picture, and those pictures were actually used for all types of things, funny enough, mostly white. Okay? 300. This is the way God decided to see it. Okay? But yeah, they must have been.
Pictures from.
You're not taking it from home. You take everybody, take a pen. And off we go to war. Okay? You've got a pen and a shovel, that's all you need. They used those stone little clay jars or the stone basins or clay jars in every part of their house. It wasn't difficult. They would take it, they covered it so when they marched, no one could see their light, and it's a march, and then they split, and then they were able to, as they broke it, it opened up, and it brought light. Now remember, why would I break a clay pot? It becomes unclean. Why? How does a pot become unclean? So if a frog falls into your frying pan, you have to throw it away. No.
Burn fire.
Right, where you wash it with dishwashing liquid, that's also a problem. What is it about a clay jar that doesn't operate in that well? It's porous, it absorbs the stuff that's inside of it. So again, something that is defiled that gets sucked into the very thing that makes it hold its content. He says that should break. That will never be clean because it actually draws it into it. And if you look at what God has been dealing with the people of Israel and with Gideon the entire time, what is the central theme be? Fear. And it's pulled into every fiber of it, and he has to break it and remake it because it's lost the sense of what it was supposed to be used for. And out of that brokenness came light. And when that light started to shine, what does light symbolize? Truth. Think about Pesach. We mentioned barley there while they were busy holding these torches. Did he not walk with Israel? Right, the Shekinah. Fire by night, cloud by day. The very presence of God is light. It expels darkness. It expels fear. Because you're running around without every corner because you can't see what's coming. And God Himself is the light of the world. And He comes up and He expels the darkness. He takes their brokenness. He separates them all up so that they can go forth and conquer it. How do they do it? By the sounding of a shofar and making a declaration. For God first, and for His judge. The one who's going to gather His people back into the land and help them understand the way to Yeshua, understand the way back to the Word, to their King. I will not be your King, He is your King. Look to Him for your kingship, focus on Him, and that's what's going to bring life. Sadly, that is that part. Even when He came in, even when He came in to support, when He tabernacled with them, Emmanuel came, they looked for a king, but they missed His life. Yeah?
He's making a statement that He will not be absorbing anybody from outside into Israel in His life.
Right?
The light they practice.
There has to be a brokenness. We're not only giving, showing the brokenness of Israel and the light coming forth, but also that light is going to chase away everybody that's not supposed to be. Alright, so different images, different understandings, different word plays, and that's Gideon. Any other questions, any thoughts? Yo. If you're referring to the horn itself, it's normally a bull's horn. Something shorter, something a little bit stronger. But yes, it is the ram straight, but normally when they look at the horns of the altars, it looks a little bit more robust, more woody sort of scenario, instead of the 20s of a ram. But yes, it is the strength we want to do.
Another thing is, each of the basic elements of this God worshiping the created with that created.
Right.
Which is why Hezekiah destroyed the bodies of his nation.
Yes. The thing is, we want to attribute something to you. You all of a sudden open up a business, you go from nothing, you do nothing for 5 years and then you turn into a multi-billionaire. Forbes come and visit you and they go, what's the reason for your success? And you say, God, and they go, okay, we'll send you a business plan instead. There must be a formula for it. There must be something that He's not telling us because He's trying to blame God or say it's God and all the rest of it. You go and teach someone who studied the scriptures their entire life and you come in and you show them things that they've never seen before. And they go, where did you study? And I go, who's your rabbi? The rabbi. Just me and God. He's going to show me something cool. No, there's something else. But whose authority? They don't believe it because they feel it's unattainable. Right? We need to understand that we need to grow in a relationship, and in a relationship we will be able to flick into the point that He can do things through us that they know is impossible for you. That's the point of giving Him the glory.
Right? Testimonies are so important because it's seeing is believing as opposed to believing and seeing. Right? But if you've got somebody who believes and sees, they need to physically show people that it actually happened in an impossible way so that they know God is being moved.
Yeah, your testimonies are important and remembering His testimony. He keeps on reminding them about the same things. Remember Abraham, after Gideon, Elijah's going to be like, if it worked for Gideon, it worked for me. David and Goliath in the valley of Elam by the tree. If Gideon was afraid and said, okay, I'm going to go out. There's all these pictures that overlap and interlink that are supposed to be together. There are many men and ladies in the Bible that were nervous, scared, didn't have faith, struggled with understanding, not knowing what God's doing and what His plans are. The whole point of it is, neither did they, and they came out just fine. There's one thing you do know. The letting go part is the one we struggle with most. If we can let go and let Him, things will then be moved, not in a way I understand it and not in a way I like it, but in a way that will bring Him glory. Amen? Amen. Alright, just before we close, I'm just going to remind you guys, if you can, guys, this is not just for you guys who are new, but this is also for people who feel that if they want to go back over the basics again and get a full understanding so that you can be able to talk to other people a little bit later, come and write your names down, and then I will send out the times and dates and the topic for what we're going to discuss.